Welcome everybody to another week of the Wholesome Music Podcast. Normally we try to have a lot of fun here, keep it light. But this week was a pretty tough week.
There was a lot.
Yeah, we as people who have roots in Minneapolis,
both from Minneapolis,
we felt especially compelled to talk about the murder that ICE has committed in Minneapolis.
We are two Minnesota musicians talking about a murder.
Yep, and we're going to talk about, there's a lot that's been said. There's a lot that we don't, isn't our place to say. We're trying not to overstep, but there's a lot that is our place to say. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a perspective as queer people that there's especially something that we need to say, because of course the person who was murdered was also a queer person who left behind a queer wife.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some resources for you to think about as you think about how you can mobilize to fight against this, further mobilize, because I know that a lot of people are doing a lot here. And then we've got a discussion about independent journalism.
Yes, we do.
Again, I think if you're going, well, this is a podcast about music. This is the DIY podcast about DIY music. Why are you talking about journalism? Because we're talking about DIY journalism. And there's, I think, some parallels and some things.
Throughways.
Some throughways. I think there's some things that we can tie in, especially when we're talking about the fight we need to be having against the extractive capitalist systems that are out here literally murdering us.
Vacuuming our money and taking our people.
So then finally we have some news about a company actually doing some good.
Yeah, we do.
It's a consumer thing, but it's a music related thing. It's about a
final Bose.
Yeah, a product being discontinued that's actually being given a more life. Gotta love it. We've got some conversation about Ticketmaster and some conversation about our favorite Elon Musk, friend of the pod,
ex-friend of the pod.
Nicely done. And finally, Cameron is going to leave you with some take it or leave it advice.
Take it or leave it is the segment we do last, and it's one quick bit of advice that you can take or
leave.
That's right.
Let us get into it. Content warning.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the murder of Renee Good.
Yes, there's a lot of ice in this episode. There's a lot of discussions, but you know what? We try to give you some takeaways, some things you can do, some action items. So we're not just leaving you on a heavy note, but be aware we're going to get into it.
Yeah. All right, let's do it, y'all. As people may or may not know, you and I have our roots in Minneapolis.
We do.
And I don't think that there's a person alive who doesn't know about the tragedy of what happened in Minneapolis.
No.
And I don't think that there is anybody who should not be talking about it right now.
Absolutely.
And so I just think it's important that we start this conversation out by talking about what happened in Minneapolis.
But what really went down?
Yeah, and we'll tie it into kind of specifically we'll take a musician angle to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that need to be said that we aren't the people to say. There's a lot of things that have been said that are really important.
But I think it's important just to have the conversation too.
Yep.
I want to just kind of jump in right away and talk about what happened, right? So last week there was a video that went all over social media. And it was an ICE officer, an ICE asshole, going around in a truck. You see a group of them. They're in South Minneapolis, and they're approaching this vehicle, and the vehicle is stopped in the center of the street. It is just it's unclear who's in it, what's going on. It's just like they're doing their thing.
Yep.
And then they suddenly approach the car. They approach the truck. And there's a conversation-ish that happens, and then the ICE officer from the front shoots at the car, and the car starts to drive forward, like the person has been killed or shot, and you can just tell the foot goes down. It isn't immediately apparent in the video if there's one person or two people in the video, but later we found out that it was a woman and her partner, her wife in the car, a woman and her wife in the car, and the car drives super, super fast forward, and I think it runs into something and stops. And for the most part of the video, that's what you see. That's what we all saw go around the internet. And there have been some heinous takes around this. And so I think it's just appropriate for us to have this conversation and to talk about what really happened.
Yep.
Let's make sense for us, make sense for you,
Yep.
and just try to air out what's going on.
One thing I think that we can speak particularly to that people may or may not understand is this happened within a mile of where George Floyd had been murdered.
Yes.
6 years ago, 5 years ago. Which to me speaks. I think it's important. I don't think that's like a detail to be overlooked.
Yeah.
And something we can speak to as people with Minneapolis roots is how close it was to that same neighborhood, that same community.
My mom lives there.
Right. Yeah.
My mom lives there.
Yeah.
She lives like 10-ish blocks from where the shooting was.
Yeah. So that's
where the murder took place.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't like, to me, that's something that says that like you can't overlook as something that's systemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what's crazy about this is like we've seen state level failure in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And like we've seen that. We saw that with George Floyd. And this is federal level failure.
Yeah.
And it just shows us, at least to me, it doesn't do anything to help us feel better as Americans. It doesn't do anything to make us feel safe. It doesn't do anything to instill some great form of like the federal government's doing good stuff. Nope. Doesn't help that. No. It's been a shit year for the last year. And it feels like it's just going downhill. I don't want to be negative, but I do feel like there's
nothing positive.
There's nothing fucking positive about this. It's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. I think they talk a lot about like I'm not being pro violence. I'm not. But I do I think they talk a lot about let's not give the federal government conditions to commit to like do martial law or whatever. And one thing I want to say is like they are going to do whatever they want. Yep, whenever the fuck they want.
Yeah,
they are not an accountable. Like this regime is not accountable. And so I again not advocating for violence, but I do think we just need to change the way that we are calculating our response.
I think a citizen response is important.
Yeah,
always, and I think. This is a system that requires a certain to keep capitalism accountable. I think you have to make measures that are in equal response.
Yes.
Yes. I don't think we can just sit and say, oh, well, we got to send this to the courts and they can decide.
Yeah.
I don't think that's enough of a response because clearly it's not working.
No, right. Yeah.
Clearly it's not working.
Yep.
And I think we need to find whether that's creative, whether that's protesting, whether it's any number of actual solutions. We need to all do what we can do and make our voices heard in this situation. What did you see? So I kind of gave my rundown of what I saw. What did you see? What are your takeaways? What do you feel like what did you watch Did you watch the video?
I don't know if it's fortunate or privileged enough to not have seen it.
Oh, wow.
I knew, I had read about it before I got to scrolling. And so I have been able to avoid, because I don't need to see a snuff film.
Yeah.
I don't need to see a person I don't need to see it in a way that's like, do your own research and verify. I fucking know that these fucking criminal thugs are doing what they're doing.
This has been happening all over the country.
So
this isn't the first one.
Yeah.
This is a continuation.
Yep. So it's where maybe there's a contingent of people who it's for whom it is important to watch. And I power to you if you can watch it. I have been lucky enough to just personally to not have been able to see it. And I don't need to see the violence in order to believe that the violence was perpetrated.
Yeah, I think I've seen it a number of times.
Well, there's multiple clips that have been out.
Yeah,
including his body cam footage.
Multiple different angles.
Yeah.
I've seen the body cam. I've seen bystander footage, and I think the most outrageous thing to me. Did you see Asmund Gold respond to this?
No.
Oh, it was awful.
I don't know who that is.
He's a.
I don't care.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about he made some really awful points and was trying to go frame by frame looking at this video, make an argument for ICE in this, where he was like, oh yeah, it's have you been hearing this? There's a bunch of right-wing defenders of this who are trying to kind of play, and I think you could see this in Donald Trump's response too,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's she was wearing the big hat. Did you see her?
Fucking cares.
You see who I'm talking? You know
Yeah.
who?
Yeah.
I think she's the secretary.
It's Kristi Noem.
Christine, yes, thank you. That bitch, the hat bitch. Anyway, she made a statement saying that that the ICE agent was in fear of his life because of the direction the car was traveling.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch the video, he shoots and the car is traveling at him after he shoots.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to, first, there are a number of things that we need to talk about in this discussion that I think are crazy. I think this is not self-defense. Like, there are a lot of people on the right who look at this video and say, oh, well, this is self-defense. How can we? I think we've had a line from the president
and the vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Look, here's the thing. If you are, this is this weird, like, cop pretzel logic, which drives me insane. They surrounded her vehicle, 4, 5, 6 of them, right? They approach her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Guns drawn.
Yep.
In tactical gear, masks on, surrounding her vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And in their warped narrative, because they have guns, she is the one who is a danger to them. That's bullshit. Anybody, like, you can reject that really, really easily. This does not take a lot of like deep mental reconciliation. They approached and surrounded her and screamed at them, both her and her wife.
Yeah.
There's no, like, we don't have to parse this any further than that. They are the aggressors. End of sentence.
Well, what's crazy is this woman was unarmed.
Yep.
And
the thing is, we have a Second Amendment, so who cares?
She wasn't like presenting any violent opposition.
No.
Like, this isn't a situation where she was like, hey, fuck you, let's go. In which case, still valid in America. You can absolutely
we have a First Amendment.
Say fuck you. Do what you do. But none of that was happening.
Yep.
And so I just think this is another situation where we need to talk about immunity. About how people behave when they have immunity, whether that is immunity to situations like this, like you're immune of getting arrested after you shoot someone. That's going to change the way you behave in a negative way. And I know, going back into this ICE person's past, he had actually been part of another incident where he was approaching a vehicle and he fired at the vehicle previously, and I think he had some altercation. So like, this is someone, I believe he's also a war vet. So this is someone with some form of PTSD. Whether you want to identify it, whether he's identified it or not. These are two traumatic experiences. Probably not someone who should have ever been out with a gun.
If you want to call him, I don't feel any empathy for him, but if you want to feel some empathy for him, don't feel empathy for him.
I don't feel empathy.
No,
I feel like
I don't.
It's
I'm
a
not saying
failure. It's a failure of the fucking. There are so many failures here. But someone like that should never have been able to have a gun or be an enforcer at all.
Because he's a victim of capitalism. Because he's already been forced to perpetrate all of these like heinous things in the name of capitalism.
And he's already showed you that he's going to do this before, and then he did it a second time. And this time he killed somebody.
Derek Chauvin, who was George Floyd's murderer, he also had a pattern of abuse in
repeat violence.
In Minneapolis before he did what he did.
So because his situation, he was approaching George Floyd over a fake $20 bill. Get the fuck out of here. The 20 is the most commonly faked bill in America. Do you know that?
No.
It's the most commonly faked bill in America.
So you're gonna kill a man over it.
You're gonna shoot someone over that.
There's something else I want to do. Just like this is a queer podcast, and so like I don't think it's. I think we need to like this is like something we need to say is I think Renee Good's wife has been erased. There has been some queer erasure here, and like I don't take this up as like a petty thing. This is a person whose life was forfeit. The father of her children, the grandfather of her children had come out and said there's no one to raise them anymore. There is someone to raise them. Her wife. There's been a lot of talk in public about saying this is her partner. It wasn't her partner. It was her. That was their language. This was her wife. And I just in terms of like how we can remember, we want to remember people as they want to be remembered. So the last thing I'm actually going to do is to kind of close out this segment is to I want to give, since of course Renee Good's life has been snuffed out. I want to give her wife's statement as the last thing we say, particularly about this matter in this segment.
Yeah.
Because I think she deserves to have the last word.
Before you do that, I want to ask you like a couple things. What does this mean to you, and what do you think can change? What do you think we can do? What are some action steps? What are some wholesome steps that we and our community can take, or anybody can take, or things you want to see change into the future? I think we should try to at least think about some solutions, some actions, and some things that we can do in these times, because clearly we can't stay doing what we've been doing.
Yep. I like something I think, we've all, this is like a legitimately serious conversation, but I think many of us now have seen the video of the dude just absolutely biffing it on the ice.
The ice guy?
Yeah. And he falls, he hits the back of his head, and he deserves it. And we all laughed at him. And then he ran away, tail tucked between his legs. Hopefully his tailbone is broken. So I do think that's one thing we can, I not to make light of this, but I do think one of the things that disempowers these guys, and I do mean guys, is to laugh at them because they are absurd. We need to make and again, like I want to draw the line here, like this is a serious situation.
Yeah.
But these guys need to be belittled. They need to, I think one of the things we need to let them know is that like we know how fucking stupid they are, how fucking stupid they look, how asinine they are. Like we need, in amongst the responses to this, I think something like, you remember the powerful election moment last summer when Tim Walz called them weird, and how powerful that was.
Yeah.
There's something about something that disarms fascists, because we've talked about how fascism is foremost an aesthetic appeal, and so like something that just cuts across their entire appeal to right wingers is humor. Is belittling them and laughing at them, and again, like I think I've been really clear about this. There's nothing fucking funny about the situation, about ICE, about people being rounded in internment camps. But there is something to be done, I think, where we can recognize how fucking stupid these people are and how pathetic they are, and to deride them as a form of protest.
Yeah, I think that hits on something that's really important, which is like sharing your vitriol, making these people feel, letting your voice be heard, whether that's on social media, sharing the video like you spoke about. But I think there are other things we can do too, like making physical action. I think when we see this kind of violence from the state, it makes very much sense for people to be in the street. I know
Yep.
ICE was here in Los Angeles, and you participated in a group that organized and helps let people know where ICE is. In Minneapolis, they have whistles, ICE whistles. So you can get a whistle, let people know when you're seeing them around you so people aren't caught by surprise. There are action steps. There are social media groups for you to go, for you to report it. I know right now Reddit is very active. You can see on Reddit right now where ICE is in the city. There are multiple protests for you to go to. If you feel disenfranchised right now, if you feel alone, go search. There are multiple protests. Get in the streets, get in community, and get around other people. And on top of that, I think the last thing that I have for this is things we can do, continue to make our voices heard. That's through posting, through DMing your friends, through going out and getting onto the street in large numbers. And I think this might sound trite in this time period, but letting your local representatives know how displeased you are.
Yes.
Not reaching out to your senator, reaching out to your local representatives.
In addition to reaching out to your senator.
Both, but I think right now we have that big reach locally.
Agreed.
Locally is going to be. I mean, you can try to reach Kristi Noem, but
right. But
so reaching out to your local influencers, local politicians, local change makers, and making a change together.
Even your local school board.
Yes. Letting people know, creating systems together as a community, even if it's 4 people, 10 people, 15 people, or 500 people.
One last thing I'll add before we let Rebecca Good have the last word, is in addition to all this, also you can follow the money.
Yes.
There's, for instance, people are putting a lot of pressure on Home Depot because Home Depot has been allowing ICE to operate in their
parking lots and arrest their people from the parking lot.
There's been reports about Target allowing in Minneapolis, which is, of course, Target is based out of Minneapolis.
Fuck Target.
Target allowing people to operate and come into Target stores and allowing ICE to stage in their parking lots.
Yep.
So like you can follow the money that way. Like we're going to talk next about Spotify and ICE. And Spotify's ICE ads, and so we'll kind of get to that, but follow the money.
Follow the money.
And I think we're gonna have to work. I do think we're gonna have to work towards a general strike. I think it's gonna take a lot of work to get this society and this economy there, but we're gonna have to get there. But in the meantime,
I think there's been a lot of discussion about not just strike, but about like large civil disagreements.
Yeah.
Large scale protests, like protests as big or bigger than George Floyd, and making actions nationally. And I think at this point, that's kind of where we are.
Agreed. So let's let Rebecca Good have the last word. I will post the link to this. This is her wife. I'm sorry that I forgot her name. Renee Good's wife.
Rebecca.
Renee Good's wife, Becca, and I think she goes by Becca. Actually, I think I said Rebecca, but I think she goes by Becca. At any rate, and of course, one thing that I was not aware of is Becca Good was there, and I think
she was in the vehicle.
She's been erased out of the story, and I think that's a form of queer erasure, and that's why particularly I want to.
She was in the vehicle.
Yeah.
If you look closely, she's in the passenger seat of the vehicle, which is something in the initial watch I didn't realize.
Yeah. And
when you can see other footage, and she gets out of the vehicle and speaks to other bystanders.
Yeah. And she speaks to ICE as well.
It's shocking to imagine being in a vehicle with your wife or your partner or anybody you love, a loved one, and have them shot in front of you in the vehicle.
Just unfathomable, which is why I want to give her the last one.
And I believe it was on the way to or from school. From school.
So here is her statement in full. First, I want to extend my gratitude to all the people who have reached out from across the country and around the world to support our family. This kindness of strangers is the most fitting tribute because if you ever encountered my wife, Renee Nicole Macklin Good, you know that above all else, she was kind. In fact, kindness radiated out of her. Renee sparkled. She literally sparkled. I mean, she didn't wear glitter, but I swear she had sparkles coming out of her pores all the time. You might think it was just my love talking about her family. Excuse me. You might think it was just my love talking, but her family said the same thing. Renee was made of sunshine. Renee lived by an overarching belief there is kindness in the world, and we need to do everything we can to find it where it resides and nurture it where it needs to grow. Renee was a Christian who knew that all religions teach the same essential truth. We are here to love each other, care for each other, and keep each other safe and whole. Like people have done across place and time, we moved to make a better life for ourselves. We chose Minnesota to make our home. Our whole extended road trip here, we held hands in the car while our son drew over the windows to pass the time and the miles. What we found when we got here was a vibrant and welcoming community. We made friends and spread joy. And while any place we were together was home, there was a strong shared sense here in Minneapolis that we were looking out for each other. Here, I had finally found peace and safe harbor. That has been taken from me forever. We were raising our son to believe that no matter where you come from or what you look like, all of us deserve compassion and kindness. Renee lived this belief every day. She is pure love. She is pure joy. She is pure sunshine. On Wednesday, January 7th, we stopped to support our neighbors. We had whistles. They had guns. Renee leaves behind 3 extraordinary children. The youngest is just 6 years old and already lost his father. I am now left to raise our son and to continue teaching him, as Renee believed, that there are people building a better world for him, that the people who did this had fear and anger in their hearts, and we need to show them a better way. We thank you for the privacy you are granting our family as we grieve. We thank you for ensuring that Renee's legacy is one of kindness and love. We honor her memory by living her values, rejecting hate and choosing compassion, turning away from fear and pursuing peace, refusing division and knowing we must come together to build a world where we all come home safe to the people we love. That's her statement. We're going to leave it there. ICE recruitment ads are no longer on Spotify.
Damn right.
So you have
Step forward.
Well,
but it's really not because they expired.
Yep.
It's really. I'm sorry. I don't want to bury the lead.
You jumped on me, but that's it. So this is reporting from Paste.
They don't get any goodwill points for this.
Exactly. This is from Paste Magazine. As of today, Spotify's official line regarding their partnership with immigration with ICE is, as quotes, there are currently no ICE ads running on Spotify. The advertisements mentioned were part of a U.S. government recruitment campaign that ran across all major media and platforms. That is true. There are no ICE ads currently running on Spotify, but that does not mean that Spotify has changed its position. That specific campaign has been concluded by the government. ICE has stopped paying the streaming service and continue hosting ads for now, at least. This isn't like Spotify didn't get the fucking memo.
Yeah.
There's no points here. Like, I don't think that there's some speculation at first, like maybe the public pressure made them change their mind.
No.
They don't fucking care.
No, the campaign ended. They stopped getting paid. They stopped running the ads because you stopped paying for the ads.
Yep.
It's not that we won't run ads like this in the future. It's just that this campaign is over right now, and currently I'm not getting paid. So, like, if you'd like to pay me again, I'll run it again.
They'll run them.
Yeah.
And of course, this is just like this is the very agency we talked about that just killed Renee Good, and among others, they've killed like 19 people this year. There's since September. I mean, so Spotify's stance has not meaningfully shifted in the slightest. The ads are gone only because the money is, and the company remains careful to say that it will not. What it will not do. By declining to rule out future ICE campaigns, by insisting even now on the sufficiency of a policy that it is already used to justify months of recruitment ads for an agency that killed a U.S. citizen 24 hours ago. Of course, this is past. Spotify is making clear that this is not a reckoning, but a pause. The door is being purposefully left open for the same arrangement to resume the moment it once again proves profitable. So we talked about something we can, you asked kind of in the last segment, what's something we can do. I think I think leaving Spotify needs to be on the table for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really difficult to talk about this brings up a conversation of boycotts and like boycotting Spotify, boycotting Target, boycotting any large corporation. I have two takes on boycotts. One, if you are privileged enough to do so, you should absolutely do so.
Yep.
That being said, there is a subsect of people who will not be able to do that, and those people shouldn't be shamed for their failure. Agreed.
I think like we talk about like there is I'll speak on behalf, I'll speak as a white person. There's like, it's like a thing about white guilt that happens where you're like, I have to boycott all the things. And I have to, so I can't go to Walmart, I can't go to Home Depot, I can't go to like Amazon. Like, bitch, where are you gonna shop?
Yeah.
Right. So like I agree with you on that. Like,
yeah.
That they're just like, we are being stretched so thin right now.
I think we need to remove Spotify from its peak in the music industry. I think one of the things that we can talk about today as repercussions creatively, one, I do think this is just a hot take from me. I think for Spotify, I've thought about this a lot recently. What would you think it would take to get rid of Spotify, for Spotify to not be where artists generally release to? What do you feel like it would take for that to happen?
Great question. There are studies which I can't cite offhand about like what it takes.
Oh my God!
His Google's His phone is talking.
Google Gemini wanted to jump in.
Yeah. Well, we should actually probably listen.
No, I don't think we
Gemini might have some insight.
It's another AI episode.
So that didn't come out of camera, but his pocket started talking because his phone heard us what we were saying. What would it take to eliminate Spotify? I have to say, I don't know the exact numbers, but we do know that that it doesn't take as many people as you think in terms of a boycott to move the needle. These companies are very, very well. I was going to say they're sensitive to loss, but they're even sensitive to not growing enough.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it takes, but it's going to take as many people as possible to stop paying for them. I think we need to look at it from, a perspective of consumer demand.
Yeah.
If we want Spotify to change, they will not change unless their money situation changes.
Yes.
This speaks to a deeper issue that I think we have to talk about in terms of boycott, in terms of I think in terms of people's collective power. There's this idea of the tolerant left, we're just supposed to live and let live. And I did not sign up to be tolerant.
No. I
didn't sign up to tolerate ICE ads. I didn't sign up to tolerate ICE. I didn't sign up to tolerate extrajudicial killings by the president's secret police, right? I didn't sign up to tolerate that. I do not tolerate that. I don't tolerate racism. I don't tolerate homophobia. I don't tolerate forms of prejudice and evil where they exist, right? And so we don't have to tolerate ICE ads on Spotify. Therefore, we don't have to tolerate ICE.
I think.
Oh, sorry, we don't have to tolerate Spotify. Sorry.
No, we don't have to tolerate ICE.
We don't have to tolerate ICE, but I meant to say we don't have to tolerate Spotify.
For me, I can really understand and get that perspective. I think for me, I see a need for a replacement. I think
there's a ton of them.
I think we need
Pick one.
We need a replacement that is endorsed by the major labels, that is bought into by our largest consumers. So where are we going to port? And I think we've talked about this a little bit before. Tidal was really well positioned to do this.
Yeah.
They didn't quite make it happen.
Yeah.
But I think there needs to Apple Music is another place, but Apple Music is such a platform locked off solution. It isn't available to everyone everywhere.
I say let them figure that out. I say let them fucking sort that out. If they want to continue to have a relationship with an agency that pays for arms that kill Palestinian children, and
I don't think the major labels are going to do anything. I don't think they care. I don't think that affects
they will care. They
Warner.
will agree.
I don't think it affects UMG. I think they're going to keep doing what they're doing with Spotify because they have that relationship. They don't have any incentive to stop doing
until
they need another incentive, like a new place.
The money will change. The money will change all of that. The money will change all of that.
How do you feel like we can shift that? How do we cut off that money spigot to Spotify?
Great question. I was a Spotify person for a long time. I simply picked another streaming platform. I don't think that's good enough.
No, I don't.
So there, I think that's one thing you could simply do is just move to fucking Tidal, move to fucking Apple Music, move to fucking YouTube, just move to anybody else. And then when they fuck up, move out of them too.
I just think there needs to be something, and it doesn't exist yet, but I think that there's room in the market for a more wholesome solution.
I agree.
I think that there should be something like a Bandcamp that is enormous, bigger than Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Something that's Bandcamp, but for everything.
I agree.
And I think that kind of a thing could really help us. Am I saying we're going to see it tomorrow? No. Do I think we're going to see it this month? No. But I do think there's an opening right now in the market for a new product. And I've worked with a couple of products like this. I know companies who've who've been trying to do this.
Yeah.
And I think there is an opening right now distinctively. And this is just one of those things that this is a tough week. This is not an easy time, but I think it's important to identify opportunities in bad times to say, okay, this isn't working. What does that leave? What does that leave room for? Yeah. And I think right now it leaves room for a music specific platform probably some form of streaming that's more equitable than what Spotify is. You don't even honestly, the bar is so fucking low right now.
Yep.
You could provide 1 cent per stream
Which
to
Quobuzz
every
does.
artist.
Quobuzz.
Yes,
they do.
You could do this, and as long as you were like morally aligned as a business,
Yep.
I think you'd have a pretty fucking good chance
Yep.
of dominating the market right now.
I think if you had, especially if you had the kind of like large capital backing, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I think showing, like you were saying, showing even, do you remember when Blue Sky first dropped? It was Blue Sky, and there was another one that came with
Mastodon.
Yes, and they both kind of came out right as the X degradation happened.
Yeah.
Right as Twitter fell
And
to
Threads,
shit.
for instance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we have this moment for music streaming right now, where the Twitter of the music industry is fucking up.
Dude, Spotify. That's such a great point. Spotify is the Twitter of the music industry.
Yeah, and
that's
I think
wonderfully said.
I think we could see that same either fragmentation where instead of there being one public square, there's now multiple places, whether you're on Threads, whether you're on Blue Sky, whether you're on Mastodon, wherever you go.
Yeah.
Like we now have these multiple places, and I think either another direction that could happen here is Spotify could just go away, and now we just have Apple Music, we have Tidal, we have Bandcamp, we have all of these other services that are now slightly more decentralized.
Quobuzz,
yes,
you name it. Yeah, I like ultimately of like irrespective of this particular conversation, and ICE adds, like, no news to anybody who watches us, but like buy direct from the artist, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Go to fucking
buy
Bandcamp.
from someone's website, buy from their Bandcamp.
Yep.
Do not, like, if you really consider yourself a fan, you consider yourself someone who really loves an artist, spend the $12, spend
$8,
coffees, 2 coffees, and support that individual directly versus going through some likely multinational corporation.
Yep. So I will say, like, right now, when we recorded this is Monday. Monday the what?
It's Monday the 12th.
12th. So
I know, because tomorrow's my birthday.
Oh, right. Say hello. Say happy birthday to the birthday girl. And leave a comment in the leave a comment in the birthday. Leave a
For
birthday.
my birthday, unsubscribe to Spotify, not to us.
There we go. Dang, love that. I would say, like, it's so, like, ultimately, like, find ways to put your money. In the meantime, like, if you're on a budget, we kind of, you opened in the beginning, and I completely agree that, like, we can't just hold people, like, accountable for the money they don't have, because the system is squeezing us. So in the meantime, if you're like, this is something I can't generally afford to do, I think, like, in the meantime, I think a minimum commitment that I want to ask of all of you is to just switch streamers. Just get out of Spotify. If you're like, we don't have our podcast here, so you're not listening to this here, but if you're listening to using Spotify for podcasts, stop. I want to ask you to do that one thing.
It's easy to replace. So if you're listening to something, you can usually find it on another platform. If you're really married to listening to something on Spotify, you can usually search that and find it on YouTube. And that's a similar cost subscription. So you can kind of transfer those things, but things that don't exist on one platform often exist on another thing. A good thing about Spotify is generally when things are distributed to Spotify, they're distributed to a lot of other places.
Very rare that something is exclusively on Spotify anymore.
The only things that are going to be truly exclusive to Spotify are going to be like podcasts. There are some large podcasts that are exclusive, but I think that's even moving away.
I don't even think that's. I don't know. Like, I don't know, but it's like, even like, because I know they pay a bunch of money to Joe Rogan, for instance.
But that's public again.
But you can get
public again.
You can get Rogan on Apple Podcasts
and YouTube.
Yeah, you can get the Ringer.
Yep, you could watch. They had Call Her Daddy for a while too, but that's back to being public again.
Okay. Yeah.
But I imagine there are probably audiobooks, because they're focused on that space now, that are specific to.
Go to your fucking library.
Go to Audible. I mean, I guess you're supporting Amazon, so fuck them too.
So go to your fucking library. Like,
get your content somewhere else if you can. If you can't, it's understandable. But I think if you can, you're making a difference. And more than anything, if you can mobilize one other person, that's my big takeaway. Is what you do is great, but what you and your friend do is exponential.
You're here. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a heavy week.
It's a big one.
It's a big week. I want to talk.
Oh, that's heavy, Doc.
Yeah, that is heavy. This is something I'd queued this up. I didn't know if we were going to do this. There's more news. Many weeks, there's more than we can do in a particular week.
Of course.
But so this is one that was like iffy, but I think I want to do it to talk about this. This is an op-ed from not an op-ed, but an article in The Guardian that talks about independent journalism.
Yes.
So we mentioned last week at a previous episode, which was episode 28.
28.
I mentioned about how we kind of have to start working towards, I think, these new forms of distribution in terms of media and in terms of culture.
Yeah.
If we have to take our cultures where we can back from the heinous baby killing machine, right? The capital of the baby killing machine. So journalism is experiencing this interesting pressure. As I've said, I really want to start connecting music to the wider world of culture. Yeah. And so this is going to kind of tie back to the ICE thing. This is going to tie back to media in general. I'm going to tie this back, but I think this is just important to note. So this is from The Guardian, how independent journalism is a form of resistance. I'm not answering to anyone. Quote, I'm not answering to anyone. When Donald Trump retook office last January, many national newsrooms braced for what lay ahead. There was the expected fire hose of news with the president issuing dozens of executive orders. Then there was the fear and tension over the president's history of attacking and suing news organizations over unfavorable coverage. Meanwhile, audience trust in media was at an all-time low. Mm-hmm. This, as a musician, should make your ears prick up. Audience trust in media it was at an all-time low.
It doesn't, not to me, because I feel like for the vast majority of my adult life, that's been where we are. Like, we don't trust the government and we don't trust the media. Media has been down since 2013, 14.
Since 2000, since 2001, I would say.
Yeah, but at least
in the run up to the Iraq War. So we got 20 years of erosion. I guess no dispute with you there. While it was a turbulent time for traditional media, it opened a window for independent journalists. So again, this should perk your ears up. Mm-hmm. Like Marissa Kabas, I don't know if I'm saying that right, who was not beholden to covering Trump's every move, nor saddled with decades of institutional distrust. Today, The Handbasket, which is her Substack, has more than 31,000 subscribers, including more than 4,000 paid, making the newsletter 100% reader funded. What does that sound like?
It sounds like direct-to-fan sales.
Sounds like Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Quote, this is a quote from her now, being independent is a form of resistance in that it's going up against the old ways of practicing journalism. She said, the quote continues, I feel like I have more latitude to come at systems of power because I'm not answering to anyone. Does that sound like something an independent musician would say?
Absolutely. I think this entire... There are a number of large media figures who we can talk about who did this, who've made this transition from being in mainstream media to being entirely self-organized.
Yep. The Substacks and the Ghosts of the world.
Well, I think someone who did this and maintained their media empire is Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is someone who built an entirely separate podcast platform and maintained his daily show routine. Sure, yeah. So I think there's this whole cultural transfer where we're kind of done getting fed by the tube.
Yep.
Kind of done. Yep. Kind of done with that. I don't want to hear it in the newspaper. I'd rather hear someone I know say it to me and have a conversation about it.
Yep.
And I think all of these people, whether it's you going directly to your favorite writer from your favorite newspaper and going directly to their personal blog instead of reading their bi-weekly publishing in the New York Times, you get a daily update from them.
Yep.
You get all of their thoughts coalesced. And I think for musicians, we just sitting here taking notes because we've been doing this. We've been trying to do this.
Yeah. Like there's a lot. I think that, and I imagine they are. There's a lot. I think those people could learn from us.
Yeah,
from what we
because we've been doing it.
Yeah.
We're the veterans here.
Yeah,
we had to make this move.
Yeah,
we had to make this move when fucking music stopped selling
in the iPod era back in 2003. So we've been at this now for 20 years.
Who I think could talk about this so well is Ari Herstand. Mm-hmm. Someone who talked about going direct to fan probably from 2010. earlier than that.
Yep.
And just immediately being like, yeah, look, the best way for me to sustain myself is whether I'm going on the road and I'm going to sell you my merch at my table. I'm going to shake your hand. It's good to see you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. Oh, you wanted this one? I got it. And I'll sign it for you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep. There are, so yeah, I think the music industry is a bit ahead. And again, because I said at the top, like this, I think is part of a broader kind of action that we need to take as artists.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity here to, and so I want to tear down the silos. And I like, obviously it's just two musicians talking to each other, but at least we're talking about this. We're putting this back out to the community, and I think we have a lot, like you out there, we out there, we have a lot of opportunity to, I think, be talking to each other across disciplines, to learn from each other and to organize together. I want us to talk about a couple things. So this
Do you want us to talk about a couple things?
Is that what I said? Continuing the excerpt from the article in The Guardian. Over the past year, Trump has barred the Associated Press from the White House press pool, defunded the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, opened federal communications investigation into NBC, and sued the BBC for $10 billion.
Trump sucks and America's falling apart.
Yeah, ABC and hot take. ABC and CBS have settled their own multi-million-dollar defamation suits with the president. CNN dismantled its race and equity team in the summer. NBC News did the same with its teams dedicated to covering marginalized communities at verticals like NBC Out and NBC Asian America. In October, CBS News hired the conservative commentator Barry Weiss, who as editor-in-chief recently pulled the 60 Minutes segment on a brutal Salvadorian prison holding Trump administration deportees. That's the landscape, right? Now, this is why I said at the top, like musicians' ears should be perking up. If you don't think that the majors are also paying very close attention to this, you are wrong. They are paying attention to this. They are like, I don't trust them when it comes to this. I don't like, artists have a lot of latitude to say certain things, and but I don't trust anybody at those echelons to kind of do the right thing right now. I think we've seen over and over again that they're willing to capitulate to Trump.
I think if you're speaking about like major labels, it's primarily financial. It's not going to be moral unless there's a financial incentive for that moral behavior. As in, it's moral for me to
maximize shareholder profit. That's what they think.
No, it's moral for me it's a moral thing for Target to stand and say we're going to do a Pride collection because you're going to make money, more money during Pride Month. It's not a moral standing of we believe in Pride. It's socially good for me to say that I believe in Pride. So therefore, I'm going to sell a bunch of stuff during Pride, and as soon as that incentive ends for me, I'm going to stop. I think that's the correlation with the labels. Is they're not really out here feeling any type of way at all. They're out here licking their finger, waiting for which way the wind is going to blow and where the money's going to go. And follow that.
And we've seen this now a lot, where a lot of media organizations and college campuses are capitulating. Like we've seen since Trump's second term, just like, what do they call it? Compliance in advance, where people they're not putting up.
Big tech did this. Absolutely. We saw some of the major universities do it. The Ivy Leagues put up a surprisingly positive fight up against it, which I was proud of.
Some did, but some happily
caved right
UCLA
away.
Fucking happily capitulated.
Oh, of course. Harvard got pretty pissy.
Harvard
got pretty pissy.
Well, they capitulated a lot too.
But they also have a multi-billion-dollar fund behind them. Of just we could lose all of our money and still don't care.
So I just like, as we're kind of talking about this, is like I wanted to bring this in because I think this is like at the very first segment you asked, like, what can we do? What are some wholesome things we can do? I think one of the answers to that question is to look at situations like this and just remind ourselves that we can and do operate outside of the like established media monolith frameworks.
Of course.
And we can do it. We can support each other financially. We can make money. You can have a community that sustains you, and you don't have to align yourself with these fucking ghouls. I wrote this: as the dividing lines become clearer between the establishment and the rest of human civilization, we need to think very clearly about where our music is going to live and whom and what agendas our media as musicians is going to serve.
Yeah, I think, I think for artists, being aware of what you're using your platform to produce, to create, and to share with other people, how does the content that you make play into the broader media landscape? Are you making, are you doing anything with what you're creating? Are you being like, yeah, my music stands for this? I've met a number of artists whose music is very politically driven, and I think that's really cool. And I've met a bunch of people whose music is totally not politically driven at all. But
and that's also cool.
Whether you are, it doesn't really matter what you're talking about, honestly. And maybe this sounds like a cop out, but it doesn't matter. It matters what you do. So you can make happy sad girl pop music like me and be like, if you listen to it, it means this.
Yep.
And I think it's really about what you say, what you stand for, who you support, and what you're putting your efforts into. And I think we can all do more. But it's also, I'm also here to say you can do what you can do.
Yes.
And what you're doing is enough.
Yes.
So pat yourself on the back a little bit. This is a shitty week. It's a shitty time, and we're going to get through it together.
Yeah. I don't feel scolded. Don't feel bad. But if you do feel motivated, then that's what we want to give you.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back. We're going to do kind of a quick news roundup of a handful of things.
We got the headlines half of the show coming up.
And then after that, stick around, of course, because we're going to close out with your very first ever.
Take it.
Or
leave it.
So stick around. Bose is open sourcing its old smart speakers instead of bricking them.
Oh,
cool news.
Wait, say that again. Bose is bricking them?
Bose is open sourcing its old smart speakers instead of bricking them.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
like
oftentimes,
you can't use it anymore.
Yeah, they just like, well, we're going to update and we don't care anymore. So buy a new
obsolete.
One. Fuck you. Bose, this is from The Verge. I did a bad job this week of writing down bylines, so I'm sorry. In a surprisingly user-friendly move, Bose has said it will be open sourcing the API documentation for its Sound Touch smart speakers, which were slated to lose official support this year. When cloud support ends, an update to the Sound Touch app will add local controls to retain as much functionality as possible without cloud services. Users will still be able to stream music to Sound Touch speakers using Bluetooth, AirPlay, and Spotify Connect, plus the physical aux cord, remote control features, and groupings, whatever, blah, blah. Now that the smart speakers API is being open sourced, users can also create their own compatible Sound Touch tools to help fill in any gaps. So just two pieces I want to say about this. One is, let's give a company props. Let's give a company flowers when they do something that's consumer friendly.
Absolutely.
In this fucking terrible world that we've invented. And two, if you're like, this is a piece of music technology. So I imagine that there are people out there who are sort of interested in this stuff and may see this as a creative tool. There's if they're opening up an API, if you are interested in the intersection of music and technology, these speakers now are probably cheap, and they may be an opportunity for you to do some kind of creative music technology thing.
Which version of the Bose is it?
It's called the Bose Sound Touch Smart Speakers. And I don't know much about them.
I don't know anything about it. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
So these aren't going to be speaker systems that you could run like a monitor. They don't really look like something that you could use as like a part of your 360, like as part of like a Dolby Atmos system.
Because they're probably not clear enough.
They're probably not going to be good for that. But there are going to be certain use cases. I think this is a consumer win.
Consumer win, exactly.
Like a hi-fi consumer
win.
Like a device that you're not going to need to replace right away.
Yeah.
How could we use this as like a cool API as musicians?
Yeah.
This one just as a cool listening experience at home.
Yep.
That's one thing. I do think you could probably set these up in an array. It would be weird. It would be off, but I bet someone's going to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you can get them used for cheap, it looks like you can get them right now on eBay for about $60.
Okay.
And so you could hang 6 of these.
Yeah.
You could hang 7 of these.
Yeah. I also think people are just going to get weird with it. I think there's like, what's to say you couldn't use it as like some kind of cool like custom effects unit or
Or
something?
run something through it, run audio back out through it, and mic it up like
Exactly.
um
Like reamping kind of thing.
Yeah, do it like I've seen some people do that with old CD players. This might kind of give that same fidelity. Bose is a little bit more like defined mid and low end.
Yep.
So it's probably going to feel a little bit more hi-fi than sending it through like true like 90s dual speaker CD player.
Yeah.
But maybe you can get some fun use out of that. I'm curious to see what people will do with the Bose system.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Next, Elon Musk's X sues major music publishers plus BMG, Cobalt, and NMPA and more, alleging industry-wide collusion to force licensing deal.
So I thought this was really interesting and really fun and really awful all at the same time because this is X, this is Twitter saying we don't want to pay.
Yeah.
We don't want to pay to use music on X.
Yep.
And there's two things that are really noteworthy here. One, X could actually be a great vehicle for paying artists because of its bots.
I was not expecting that. You kind of caught me off guard on that one.
It's true though. Like when you post something on X, it's often getting a huge volume of views because of the way that they count their views. So any impression is counted as a view.
Right.
Which is probably part of why they don't want to pay. Because they're not like Spotify and YouTube actually make you watch for a certain amount of time.
Their thresholds.
Yeah. And as far as I'm aware, X has none of that.
Bandcamp has that as well, by the way.
Yeah. Well, most sites that are cogent.
I just won't stand for Bandcamp erasure in the year 2026, but continue.
But like most places that are any type of cogent or sane or care are doing this.
Which leaves X as one that isn't.
Yeah, I mean, this really brings us back to our YouTube conversation about how do we tabulate what is a stream, and like Spotify or YouTube not wanting to report to Billboard because Billboard's being like, nah, this is a stream, this isn't a stream.
Yeah.
How do you weigh it? X doesn't weigh it. X is just like everything's a stream. If you saw it, you streamed it. And we're not paying you.
And their issue is less about like wanting to do right by people.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Because nothing Elon does is because he wants to do right by people.
They're interested in showing how many people saw it.
Yeah, and so they are
vanity metrics.
So they're suing 18 music publishers. They're suing Sony Publishing, Universal, Warner Chappell, BMG, Cobalt, Concord, Hypnosis, Downtown Music, among others. Alleging collusion,
saying that they're getting together and trying to make them pay,
which they fucking are. That's how collective
management works.
But like, so they don't like that. This is from the same people who are in the process of trying to take the entirety of the world's artistic output and feed it into a computer so that it can spit out, in the case of X, so that it can spit out child porn
in Grok. Grok.
Yeah. So like these are the people who think that all of the what we consider to be like a sacred and wholesome and like worthwhile artistic endeavor, they see as like a waste of time and like content, you know.
Oh, I think they see it as a clear path to monetization.
Yeah. So this is like something where this guy, the world's richest guy, doesn't want to pay musicians. And like, I'm so exhausted by it.
You just not have enough money, bro?
You're just like,
you got all the money, but you don't have enough to pay anybody?
Enough. And like, this is why we got to make fun of these fucking chuds. We got to make fun of these dudes because they have so much power, but they're so ridiculous. They're such fucking idiots. So like here's another clear-cut example of how the business class, the AI bosses don't see music as something that has like any fucking value to them.
Yeah, not as an inherently valuable product.
Yeah. And so, which is why you can't trust these people when it comes to art or music. Move on.
Yeah, I really just thought it was a interesting story that resonated with us. And I think it's something I want to keep an eye on because I'm curious actually before we move on, what do you think the resolution of this will be? Do you think this is going to be a win for X? They're not going to pay? Or do you think this is going to be a major label win where they get them to pay? If they do you think they'll pay entirely or do you think they'll get a special deal? What are your thoughts? What do you think of the outcome?
I hope against hope, against everything that and I like my heart of hearts tells me that this is going to go nowhere for X, and that a judge is going to see this and go, nah, this isn't how this works. This isn't collusion or no one's out to get you. This is like, because this is all established by like
Copyright
law, which is very well established. This is all you like. Go back to our origins of copyright to learn about this.
It's at least going to get settled in different nations. I think different places are going to deal with it differently. I think places like the EU are going to do a better job.
They're never going to capitulate to this.
No,
but this is a U.S. lawsuit.
You might get away with it in the U.S.
Yeah,
but you might not.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, we're in this administration that we're in now, so I think maybe we don't see a resolution before 2028, but it's 2026, 2028's coming.
Yeah.
So
I could see this going to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court going, oh, we don't give a shit. Whatever is more evil, we'll do. So
yeah,
that is true.
I think it could force X to have to add more more valid counting of like more tabulation.
Yeah.
If they do have to pay, I bet you'll see those numbers go down on X because they don't want to pay those numbers.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Which probably leads us into which we won't have the discussion about how can we even trust any of these numbers and any of these people.
About vanity metrics?
Yeah. So finally, this is from Music Business Worldwide by the homie Mandy Doug. Ticketmaster faces lawsuit over alleged website tracking and, quote, surveillance tools.
Yes.
A new class action lawsuit has been filed against Ticketmaster, alleging its website deploys unauthorized surveillance tools that violate California privacy laws. The complaint claims that Ticketmaster employs advertising and analytics trackers from Google, Facebook, TikTok, and Bing, Pinterest, Snap, and Comscore to illegally collect, receive, and process information, which alleges further that the information transmitted through these technologies is used for behavioral profiling, advertising measurement and attribution, personalization, audience segmentation, identity-linked tracking. That's deployed without authorization and without obtaining consent, which is against the California Penal Code, against the California Privacy Act, which then Ticketmaster uses to generate revenue through surreptitious collection of users' personal information. And so basically Ticketmaster sucks and somebody caught him.
Big takeaway for me is what's kind of happening in this situation is Ticketmaster is using your data from across multiple platforms to identify you. Mm-hmm. So instead of traditionally what happens with your data collection is you're getting grouped into target groups. Mm-hmm. So like
a demographic.
Exactly. People who are like you do these things based on an aggregate of data. Mm-hmm. What violates California law is attaching you to that identified group. So now instead of saying people between 25 and 45 who have a podcast about music, who are in downtown LA, that's fine. You can do that. Yeah. But when you say that ties to Augustus's profile on Instagram, that also ties, this looks like it's lookalike data to this profile from
Facebook,
TikTok, and you coalesce those, and then you say it's all one, and you create
Visa
a profile for
your credit report,
and then you match it to your user account. You're out. You're breaking.
And
then
what they're doing, and like to further, if you're going, well, I don't see the big problem with that. They're like, then the maybe something that should finally chill you is then they're going to use this. They have been using this, and they're going to continue to use this to do dynamic pricing.
Of course,
where they're going to go, this person, this person makes.
This person already came here 3 times.
Yep.
Now I can show you a much higher price.
This person is a super fan of this artist that they're looking at the tickets for, so they're going to be willing to pay more money. And that of course is like I don't know that events need to be turned into this fucking marketplace. That sucks.
I think I think that there are a number of vendors in the ticket sale market. None of them are as big as the juggernaut that is Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
However, I think many of them are equally as shady. Whether we're talking about Eventbrite, whether we're talking about Partyful, whether we're talking, and all of these players that I'm naming are much smaller.
Yeah.
Like fractions
President
of the size. But these, I don't think there are any honorable ones right now. I don't see anybody in the ticketing space who I'm like, I really want to give you an award. I mean, there are some niche companies. There are things like Humanitics, which has tried to make a good effort.
Yeah.
They are a ticketing platform that for every ticket that you buy, it donates to a nonprofit.
Okay.
So every humanitarian focused nonprofit.
Yeah.
So
Beatport, of course, is like kind of like they're, I don't know that I trust them any better, but they're like a little more focused on the culture. So there's somebody else who's a player right now.
There are a few people in this space that are doing good things, but for the most part, when we're looking at this larger scale, it's pretty bleak. And I think when we're talking about advertising in this particular market, it's tough.
Yep.
Obviously it's been something that Ticketmaster really. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's worthwhile. Ticketmaster's built this out. They built this out for like since the 80s when they started partnering with other venues, buying up properties, creating this exclusive lock-in.
Yeah.
And so for us as an industry to detach ourselves from Ticketmaster, just like our conversation with Spotify, is it's a big juggernaut. We got to find a way to separate ourselves. I think things like this we can go back and we can look at things like AT&T breaking up huge monopolies, what we had to go through to get those resolutions
Microsoft in the 90s.
Yes, that we deserve.
Yep.
Resolutions that we deserve, and what steps we're going to have to take as a community and as a industry to separate ourselves and give ourselves the chance for small players to survive.
Absolutely. If you want to hear Cameron's which I've had a preview of, it's very excellent advice. You got to stay with us. Okay, my beauties.
We did it.
We got through it. This was a heavy episode.
This was a lot.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for helping us kind of be a part of the discussion.
Yes.
Hopefully to find some small way for all of us to sort of contribute towards the kind of solutions that we all long for.
Yes. Better world together.
Yeah, absolutely. So as always, if you're on YouTube, we would love for you to subscribe.
If you're on TikTok, we'd love for you to follow us.
We would love for you to share this.
Like the video.
And if you are listening on a podcast platform, please use that podcast platform's tools to give us a nice 5-star review.
Absolutely. These things really do help us.
Yeah.
If you can, it's super, super valuable. We don't want to take a ton of your time, but if you can, it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
So if you can help us up by, shooting the like, hitting the subscribe, it would mean a lot.
It's two of us. 1 camera, 3 lights, 1 mirror,
1 iPad,
a couple phones, and
an overworked MacBook Pro upstairs.
and 2 fake plants. So that is it. So Cameron is going to bless us with our first take it or leave it from him. What take it or leave it? Of course, take it or leave it advice is just quick advice that we want to give you, which you are free to take or leave.
Yes.
And we just offer this to you as something that might help you out. What's your advice for us this week?
This week, my take it or leave it is about your vocal chain. So this is advice you can take or leave, but it's advice that's helped me throughout the 15 years that I've been doing this.
All right.
So
when you're recording,
when you're mixing, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about your vocal chain like this. First thing at the top. First thing you're going to put in anything that you do to do noise gate, to do noise removal, noise suppression. That's all going to go first. Anything that you're doing. So like,
and that includes like RX, like noise.
RX, noise gate. RX is a tough one because of its CPU usage. So RX sucks. But if you're going to use it, put it first.
And then print it.
Yeah, you can print it. Absolutely. If you're running low on CPU, print or freeze. Print or freeze.
Which is why you should do it first, because...
Then we're going to go, anything that you're doing think of it as destructive. Anything that you're doing that's destructive, I want first. So noise gate, suppression, that's going number 1. Then we're going EQ. So that's going to be any subtractive EQ that you're doing. We're really not focused on additive EQ, but after that, that's when we're going to go auto-tune, any kind of pitch correction if you're doing Melodyne. So think noise gate, think EQ, and then think pitch correction. And that should get you 80% of the way with your vocal track.
That is such good advice.
I'm just going to say you can take it.
Or leave it.
That's right.
All right. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us as always.